PokeBabs!
Hey guys, welcome back to PokeBabs. Today we're looking at round 3 of the August PokeBeach tournament, and we're going up against Lukkul, and we see they are playing Dark Dragon and Psychic, so I'm guessing it's going to be that Dark Hydra, or that it might have Hydreigon, but the Dark Giratina deck. So that should be interesting. I mean, the fighting weakness could be in our favor. It just depends. We can either start Meditite here or Zygarde. I think we'll start Zygarde just so that we don't get knocked out turn 1 by them. We need to protect our Meditite. And just checking here to see who's going first. Yeah, so they're actually going first. So we could send up Meditite, but we just don't want it to get knocked out before we can evolve. Even though we have the Focus Sash. And we see they start a Hydreigon. So, it should be interesting. We see a Trainer's Mail. We'll see who they go with their main attacker. That will determine who we end up going with. But I'm guessing we'll see some Max Elixirs this turn, which will kind of be a little more telling about what's going to happen. And making a decision on the Trainer's Mail. Not sure what they'd go for here. We'll see if they try and go for the turn 1 Hoopa. They actually grab nothing. We see a double dragon come on to Hydreigon, wow. And then a Shaman just setting up for 2, so I guess playing that double dragon down just so that they can set up for more cards. And we see an N, which I think is probably a good sign. I mean, we had a good hand for the most part, but this is probably even better. We still have the Karina, but we also have a Battle Compressor, which is nice. We still have the strong energy, meaning we can Lance Pulse, or we can start powering up our Meditite. And we still have that Focus Sash as well, so really mostly just gained out of that. We don't have the Medicham anymore, but don't think that's going to be as much of a problem. We're going to evolve this turn anyway. See an Ultra Ball. I wonder if they go for the Hoopa here, getting rid of Fighting Fairy Belt and a VS Seeker. So they must have really important cards in their hand if they're doing that. Maybe they're holding on to Max Elixirs or something like that. So we'll see what they grab here. Maybe my opponent's doing some deck checking. This might be their first time searching through their deck, so might be why they're taking a little longer. But yeah, I mean, I think so. We see an Yveltal. So the nice thing is that the Medicham does hit through resistance, but the Yveltal, depending on how many they play, it could be a difficult thing to get through. And we just see a pass. So no Max Elixir, which is interesting. We're trying to an AZ, which is not that helpful, but we might Ultra Ball it away. Probably going to be wanting to play that Karina this turn. We could Battle Compressor first just to get a look through our deck. Either way, we'll get a look through our deck, so it probably doesn't make a difference which one we play first. So we'll play the Karina, and Carbink definitely will be useful. We could grab another Meditite, but I think Carbink is nice. Forcing them to use Hex Maniac, unless the Psychic in their deck could be a Garbodor. It's possible they play Garbodor, but since they play the Yveltal, I'm not sure. They play the Hydreigon and Yveltal. I'm not sure if they'd have space, and they probably wouldn't play it if they played Hydreigon. So I think we're probably not going to get shut down for items except for with Hex Maniac. And if we force them to use Hex Maniac on a Carbink, that's great, especially since we can put down a Focus Sash on it, so they basically can't knock it out in one turn. So we're just going to grab a VS Seeker because we do have that Battle Compressor. And this way we can get some good cards in our discard pile. We'll attach the Strong Energy. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure I want to attach the Strong Energy. We'll Battle Compressor first, get rid of whatever we want as our draw supporter, which might be a Sycamore, might be an N if we have an N. We do have an N. We might want to get a strong energy in the discard as well, just to help ourselves with powering up the using Carbink break. Perhaps next turn, if that's possible. And kind of an interesting play we could do is we could attack with Zygarde, and then if we get attacked, we can AZ. If we get, and then we can AZ, and then could like get the energy in the discard through AZ, Professor's Letter, and grab the Carbink break, while putting a Focus Sash on the Carbink. That could be interesting. There's a few options, but we'll see. Maybe our opponent's going to end us again. See if they have much of a hand. We see an Escape Rope actually, which is sort of interesting. I guess we'll send up Carbink. That's who we want in the active anyway. But if we get hit by an Oblivion Wing, that is kind of annoying. That means the Focus Sash play won't work for this Carbink in particular. But they do clearly play non-EX. They at least play Yveltal as a non-EX. So we see, yeah, they're going to go for an N again. So all that planning, that crazy idea with the AZ just is not going to happen. And our hand here is not that great. It's actually a little scary. But we do have a Megaphone. They do have 2 tools down, but it'd be nicer to take a tool off of like one of their attackers. Take the Fighting Fairy Belt off one of their attackers. I'm not sure how many they play. They've already discarded 1, and there's 1 on the Yveltal. So, and just to make sure that, I mean, we really don't want the Yveltal to knock us out next turn. I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah, we can evolve here, but I think we're going to wait and see if they target down 1, and then we could evolve the other one probably. We could stall for time with a Lysander. If we bring up Shaman, then they have to attach an energy or Sky Return or AZ or something like that. Something they probably don't want to do. We're going to evolve this turn then, since they will have a harder time retreating and attacking and Lysandering. So, yeah, and then I'm not putting down the Focus Sash yet, because again, we don't know who's going to get attacked first. If they get hit by an Oblivion Wing, the Focus Sash is maybe useless. So we see a Dark Energy go on to Shaman. Are they just going to retreat it? They could retreat it and then reattach it with Oblivion Wing. So we'll see here. As long as they're not attaching to someone they want to attack with. But yeah, our opponent obviously is getting a slow start, and we are too. We opted not to put the Regirock down since we're not attacking right now. See the Sycamore, and wow, they're getting rid of the Darkrai, so they really are afraid of the fighting weakness. They also got rid of a Double Dragon, which is pretty interesting since they could have attached the Double Dragon, but they opted to attach to Shaman, which kind of makes sense. They probably don't want to give up a free prize of Shaman if it came to it. See an Ultra Ball, and they're going to get rid of the other Darkrai. I don't know how many they play, but that is 2 Darkrai down. So clearly they don't like the option of going with Darkrai in this matchup. They're going to go with Giratina instead. And the nice thing is with Giratina, we can still attach our we see a Enhanced Hammer, which might not be that big of a problem if we can get a Carbink break going. Oblivion Wing attaching another energy to the Hydreigon, which is kind of an interesting play. It can go through Carbink, so maybe that would be part of the reason why. We could AZ the Carbink, and then I don't know what we would do though. We just don't have a really great setup at this point. So yeah, there's not a lot that we can do here. We could just send up Zygarde just to be kind of a wall, and then if we get energy we could attack with it. It can heal itself also. So if we were able to get a couple energy attachments, we might be able to negate the damage from Yveltal. See what our opponent does here. Can they find a Float Stone to get out of the active, or are they just going to keep attacking? We do finally see a Max Elixir. It does go into Giratina, which makes sense. We'll see what else they've got for us. Definitely a slow start from both of us, though. Professor Sycamore getting rid of another VS Seeker, which is interesting. Probably noting that we did not play. Let's say they're down. They're already down 3 VS Seeker and 2 Lysander, which I'm guessing they don't have any more. So they basically have potentially 1 more Lysander left in them, which is a good thing to keep in mind. They use the Parallel City to bump their own Shaman. So what do they have in store? We got another Max Elixir. If they hit this, I'm sure it's going to Giratina as well, I would guess. Yep. And we see another Max Elixir. Wow, okay. Can they hit all their Max Elixirs? Apparently they can, and that one goes on to Hydreigon. So now everyone's got free retreat except for Evil Tall. And we do see an Oblivion Wing. I don't think they have any energy in the discard, yeah. So, wow, we're drawn to another Focus Sash, which is not useful, so we'll just pass the turn right back. Just not worth putting down the Regirock at this point. Let's see, we see a Trainer's Mail. What is this going to grab from our opponent, or for our opponent? We see another Max Elixir. Can they hit this one as well? Double Dragon coming down. They could retreat, and yep, that's what they're going to do. They're going to go for the Chaos Wheel. They don't play the Max Elixir, interestingly enough. And, okay. We finally draw a VS Seeker, which is good, I guess. Wouldn't want to Sycamore all these Focus Sashes, so we probably have to end here. We could Karina and grab another VS Seeker as another option, but we need energy pretty badly, so I don't think I can afford to miss a turn of energy. At this point, I'll drop down that Regirock, though, and we'll just play N. Yeah, since we can't attach any of the Focus Sashes because of the Chaos Wheel. So we do get an energy at least, which is good. Like I said, they only have 1 Lysander left, so they would need a Lysander plus to knock out the Carbink. They would need a Lysander plus a Fighting Fury Belt to attack with Shred. So, not really worried about that. We do see the Fighting Fury Belt, though, and it goes on to Giratina. Question is, can we knock out this Giratina with Medicham? I'm going to send up Carbink. So now we can get the Carbink break going finally. We won't play the focus, or we won't play the Sacred Ash this turn. We can attach our fighting energy from hand to the Meditite. So now we'll have 2 guys powered up. Now there is a little bit of a risk here. We can't put down the Focus Sashes still. Could have gone just straight for the break with a Karina, but was trying to get ourselves set up for the next turn. Didn't work out all that well. Let's see what we grab here with the Level Ball. Guess we'll grab another Medicham. And we do have Hawlucha, which is nice to have that free retreater. Unless they play a Hex, though, or a Lysander, they can't really take a knockout this turn, which is great. And we can't attack, though, which is unfortunate. So we'll see what they do here. Just taking note of what they have in their deck. But yeah, only 2 prizes taken so far this match. It's been kind of a long match. Not much happening. We see a Shred, which isn't going to quite do enough without a Fighting Fairy Belt, so they're just going to do 80 damage. And we get a Medicham. Okay, so we can at least put down a Fighting Fairy Belt this turn, now that we have tools back, which is nice. But we have not really gotten anything going yet. We could attack with like Hawlucha or something, or we could even attack with a Medicham, but we would only do 60 damage, which wouldn't be great. Trying to figure out where the best place to put this Focus Sash is. Hydreigon does still have a lot of HP left. It would be nice to get an attack off. We could retreat out of Carbink just so we still have a way to get the Carbink break later. We could attack with, like I said, we could attack with like Halucha, but yeah, I don't know. It's just not really a great situation. Hoping to top deck something here. We can use Halucha as a pivot though. I think the fact that my opponent used so many VS Seekers though is going to hurt them a lot. They only have 9 cards left in deck, so they've actually burned through a lot, and I think they're going to have a tough time taking enough knockouts. We'll see. We see the 4th Max Elixir finally missing. We'll see how many energy they have in the discard. They have 2 Darks. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the field, so they still have more. We do see a Megaphone getting rid of our Focus Sash, and we see a knockout with Yveltal. Putting another Dark Energy onto Hydreigon. Would guess that they don't play Psychic Energy, so they're probably still going to have to attach Double Dragon. Alright, so we do get an Ultra Ball. I don't remember if Shaman's in the deck, but we maybe the best option at this point is just to go for Shaman, or we could attach. Yeah, I think the best option might just be to go for Shaman. If we don't have it, then obviously this is a bit of a wash anyways. So it's a tough decision. Other option would just be to end our turn. Our opponent probably will not be able to take a knockout next turn unless they find a float stone. I'm just going to retreat into Medicham, and now it's acting as sort of a sacrifice that might take a while to knock out. The fact that our opponent went into Yveltal though was sort of interesting to me. I think maybe it would have been better to go into Giratina, lock down our tools, stadiums, and putting down special energies. We see Oblivion Wing for 30. We could heal it off with Calm Mind. So now we get the Carbink break, which it's a little late in the game for that. Opponent down to 3 prizes. We're just gonna pass again. They'd still have to retreat in order to take a knockout, so we'll see what happens. Just see another Oblivion Wing. We could Calm Mind twice to heal ourselves, but we'll see what we draw into. We draw into a Regirock. Okay, not helpful. We could Ultra Ball now and get rid of the Regirock and maybe Sacred Ash, grab another Carbink, going for some stall tactics again, and hopefully we can set up the Carbink break in our next turn after our opponent presumably will knock us out here. And if we can take a knockout on Yveltal, the question is, what can my opponent do? Carbink break is a 2-hit knockout even for them shredding, so we'll see what happens here. We are finally going to be able to get our Carbink break out, and our opponent goes down to 2 prizes. We get a VS Seeker, which is a fantastic top deck. We could end our opponent down here if we would like to, and we would get 6 cards, which is nice. So let's see what happens here. Okay, we get a Strong Energy. We get a Focus Sash, which is kind of nice, and VS Seeker for next turn. So we're going to definitely power up the other Medicham, so maybe put the Focus Sash on that one. I believe we have 2 Strong Energy in the discard, so should be able to do that. We're just going to see how much energy we have left in the deck. Just 1. And a Strong. So we'll attach the Strong Energy to, I think, well, so we could either attach it to this Medicham, or we could have attached it to the other one and then like really powered it up with 2 more Strong Energy. I don't know if that's going to be necessary though. Put down the Meditite, and we'll Diamond Gift. Only doing 10 damage because of resistance. But we do have the Regirock, so it did do 10 damage, and we're just going to attach those energies to the Medicham. So we are going to be able to take a knockout on Yveltal next turn, because we'll be doing 70 damage. And then our opponent is going to have a harder time getting through stuff. We did end them, so they do have more cards left in deck. In fact, we have pretty similar amount of cards left in each of our decks, but we'll see if we can make a comeback. I mean, it looks really bleak right now, but I think our opponent has a really awkward board position too. I think if we can take some really big knockouts, we could start to turn the tides. It's going to come down to probably if our opponent finds their last via Seeker, that kind of thing. But right now, even if they Lysandered up Regirock, we could via Seeker for the AZ, which I believe is still there. Yeah, so the AZ is there. We have pretty much everything at our disposal. They attach Double Dragon, and unless they have a Float Stone, they're not going to be retreating this turn. Hydreigon definitely makes this interesting, but again, without fighting Fury Belt, they're only doing 80 damage, which can't knock out a Medicham even. So they just don't have much damage output. We do see the VS Seeker for the Lysander though. Going after the Medicham with the Focus Sash, which I think is a misplay. And I'm not sure if they really realize it. Unless they play multiple Megaphone, we can just Calm Mind off this damage. And then we can still attack the Yveltal, and then next turn can do the same type of thing. So, kind of weird that they would do that. We will attack with a Yoga Kick and then Calm Mind to heal ourselves, restoring that Focus Sash, which is pretty important. I think Calm Mind is actually is a fantastic attack to have paired, because there's a lot of Pokemon that only do 30 or less damage. So we just see another Oblivion Wing for 30. They don't have Dark Energies to attach, so basically it was just sort of a wasted Lysander. Their last VS Seeker was just wasted. We could attach... I don't know if they play multiple Megaphone. It's not all that common. It's not common at all, especially with stuff like Xerosic, but we'll see here. So we will be able to take a knockout though, and then we can also Calm Mind to restore the Focus Sash once again. So again, I mean, we do have the opportunity for a comeback here. So we're going to Yoga Kick, take a knockout, and we're going to see what we get off our prize. First prize. More than 20 minutes into the game, we're taking our first prize, but I think it's still pretty good. Now, I'm not 100% sure if Shred gets through Focus Sash or not. If it does, they've only played they have 3 Fighting Fairy Belts down, so I'd kind of be surprised if he plays 4 Fighting Fairy Belts. If he plays 4, then I don't know how Shred interacts with Focus Sash. Does it go straight through Focus Sash? I could imagine it might. We'll see if that happens. Or obviously there's Xerosic. And our Xerosic could actually be important too, because getting rid of a Double Dragon energy might just stall our opponent out. So they can't really do much. We'll see what happens there. Hydreigon at the moment though does give them free retreat for everyone. We see an Ultra Ball. Getting rid of a Hoopa and a Shaman. It's interesting. I'm not sure what they would grab. If they have another Yveltal, they probably would. They just grab a Shaman. Are they going to use setup? They do. Okay, so this is that interesting thing where I don't know what they're looking for, but they only have 4 cards left in deck, so I mean, there's opportunities to stall them out. I don't know how much energy they have left. Do they have energy? If we Lysander Shaman, do they have energy? I don't know. I think we can still win this game on prizes, but we'd have to start taking some big knockouts really soon. We haven't seen Fighting Stadium yet. So we see just a Chaos Wheel. And we're probably going to have to go into a different Pokemon here. Well, I mean, we could... The other option would be to just attack straight in with Medicham, but then our opponent can bring us down to 1 prize. And then they can pick off something easy like... Well, I mean, I don't know. I think they're out of Lysander, and they're definitely out of VS Seeker, so maybe our bench is safe. Maybe we can stall out for a little bit. So I think they already have a double dragon. Yeah, they already have a double dragon in the discard, so they don't have any more double dragons. So if we take a knockout, if we were able to take a knockout, we'd get shredded. If we knock out a shred, then we. So the 0-6 I think could be really good. I don't know if. Yeah, I mean, if we take off, because right now the fighting fairy bolt is going to keep them alive. See, we're doing 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, only 80 damage. I really wish we had that. Fighting stadium. So, just going to get rid of the double dragon so they can't attack with Giratina. And then, I guess we can just, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough decision here. We've got to be low on energy though, which I think is important. Or it's going to be important. Yeah, you can see I'm pretty split on this though. I mean, do we attack in? I mean, our opponent in 2 turns, can they take 2 knockouts is kind of the question. I think if we retreat, we give ourselves a better chance. And especially since Carbink Break is a 2-hit knockout no matter what, unless they play Hex. Hex Maniac could be bad, but at least we'd be powering something up. Like this way we can get our other Medicham to be like super powered up, perhaps. We could even power up like Halucha, but yeah, I think if we do this, now we have a fresh Medicham that's doing a lot of damage. If we can get that 3rd strong energy down, that could be really good. And I think the Fighting Stadium is the fact that Fighting Stadium is eluding us is annoying. Actually, we see the retreat into Hydreigon to Shred, which is kind of what we wanted to see, right? Because if we can knock out this Hydreigon, they have a really they don't have free retreat anymore with Giratina. And we also now can attach our other strong energy to our Medicham. So I feel like that may have been a misplay from our opponent. I think if they, I don't know, I mean, I understand they need to start attacking. But see, now we can start running them dry of energy. We can retreat into Medicham and take a knockout. We can even put a Focus Sash on the Medicham, making it even harder for something to happen. And again, I'm pretty sure they're out of Lysander, so we're going to Yoga Kick, doing 100 twice. We will take a knockout here. And the question is, what can our opponent even do now? I mean, they're out of double dragons. We know that, so they really can't attack unless they have like an Evil Tall, and they only have 3. They only have 3 cards left in deck. So I think 0-6 really came into play. Just getting rid of all their energy in basically 2 turns, we got rid of all their relevant energy, which is the double dragons, 2 0-6 and a knockout. And I can't see what our opponent would be able to do at this point, especially with only a 2-turn clock. I just don't really see it happening. And our opponent does concede here, saying they'll go first for round 2. They think it's a bad matchup, and I can kind of see why. I feel like avoiding... I wonder if because we started the Zygarde, it kind of scared our opponent off a little bit. They were thinking this is more of a pure fighting deck. I mean, Darkrai, I think Darkrai is still their best attacker, right? So, and Giratina is good, but if they had an aggressive Darkrai, then that would probably be best. Or an aggressive Giratina could be good, but it's harder to power up the Giratina, right? So I think if they had an aggressive Darkrai early on, just start taking knockouts before it can set up, that seems like a better option to me. I'm not really sure. I haven't tested this matchup, really, so I'm not sure how it works. Alrighty, so we're going to go into game 2 here. We are up 1-0, and we'll see what Lukkul can do. They are going to start. They're going to go first this turn, or this game, so see if that helps them out. They went first last game too, so I guess I don't know. But Halucha is a great starter, I think, as long as our hand isn't this bad, and we don't have anything else going for us. We can stall with Focus Sash. We see them start Darkrai, which they don't want to do. The cool thing is, if they can't get anything else going, we can actually get some sort of crazy... I think we can take a knockout this turn. So if they don't get any other bench Pokemon, we can put down Strong Energy so that Flying Press is doing 80, and then Fighting Stadium so it's doing 100, and then Hex Maniac so we can actually do 200 damage to this Darkrai because it'll turn off our Shining Spirit ability, which negates weakness and resistance. But we do see them grab an Ultra Ball, so I don't think it's going to happen. We could still get the knockout, though. Now we see a Fighting Fairy Belt come down, so now 200 damage is actually not even enough, which is a little disappointing. That would have been pretty cool, though, to see Hawlucha finally shine in this deck, and in such a big way. Could have done 200 damage there. So we'll see what happens here. Yeah, we'll see the Hydreigon come down. I think Hoopa must be prized since they didn't go for Hoopa. I think they would have gone for Hoopa if they had the opportunity. Especially considering that they like the Hydreigon and Giratina play as opposed to the Darkrai play. We just get a pass. And we draw a Meditite, which is good to at least get another basic down. I still like the idea of attacking here and doing a ton of damage with Hawlucha. And especially since I think that Hex Maniac's just a good play anyway. We'll put down the other Focus Sash so that our Meditite is safe, perhaps. Maybe not. I don't know. We know they play Megaphone, though, so that might not be good. Excuse me. It could be a risky play, but we do just hit for 200 with weakness, which is pretty sweet. Now we could clean it up with a Megaphone or the like in the coming turns. So see what they can do here. We see an Ultra Ball. Obviously our hand is not good. If we can get a knockout, though, we can at least draw a couple prizes. Maybe that'll help us out a little bit. We see a Giratina with this Ultra Ball. Do they have a draw supporter? Maybe they were holding off on playing an N. Yep, it looks like they were holding off on playing an N. And or they didn't have it. So now our hand is great. Can definitely get going here. We do see an Enhanced Hammer. And the Dark Pulse would take a knockout, but thanks to Focus Sash, it will not. We can take a knockout now with Hawlucha, which would be pretty cool. I think Karina is the way to go here in terms of supporters. We could get ourselves another Meditite out. We could get, I don't know, we got a lot of options, honestly, for the item card we get. The other option would be to get the Megaphone, and then we could just take our prizes with Megaphone. That would be kind of cool. We could Megaphone and then send something else up, and then we can attack the new thing that comes up. I think that would be a great play too. And then depending on what they send up, we may or may not retreat. Depending on what our prizes are, we may or may not retreat. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. So we'll put down Meditite. We will play the Megaphone, and we'll see what we get out of our prizes. So interestingly enough, starting the Darkrai was actually really bad for our opponent. So maybe they were right to avoid it in the first game. And at this point, I think maybe the best play is to just hit for 80 with Hawlucha. Reason being, that way it's really soft. Now the Hydreigon is really soft. It can get knocked out pretty easily. And we don't mind if the energy gets discarded. If they can get an attack off, we wouldn't mind because we could just break into Carbink Break and then get the energies back. So our opponent ends us into a great hand. Question is, will we want to be putting down the Regirock? I'm not 100% sure. We see a Double Dragon on Giratina. Now if we drew a Strong Energy, we could actually take a knockout on this Hydreigon this turn, which would be cool. It would be a second energy being attached to Hawlucha, which is a little ridiculous, but it could be really important. I don't know. We'll see if they can get another Hydreigon down. That would make a difference too. We see a Megaphone. So, 2 Focus Ashes down. We do see a Shaman setup. We'll see if they can play down Parallel City. That would also basically negate the opportunity for Hawlucha to take a knockout. We just see a pass. We get another Fighting Stadium. So, Regirock. Actually, 2 Regirocks would also make it possible. But I'd rather get the Carbink break. And Hawlucha, even just retaining Hawlucha as an attacker is kind of nice. And we might end up just going for that play that it's a play that I like to make a lot, which is basically putting a Focus Sash on whoever you attach the energy to with Carbink. And I think this is a little more forward-thinking play, because if we took a knockout on Hydreigon, then we're really susceptible to end. But if we have a Carbink breakout, then we're not nearly as susceptible to end, because we can power stuff up. Question is it right to put down Regirock now? The 10 extra damage doesn't seem important right now, but it could be play a really good factor later, or big factor later. Our opponent did play their Megaphone. I would guess they don't play 2, so we're probably safe to put down another Focus Sash, but if it gets discarded somehow, we would be down to only 1 left in deck, which could be bad. Oops, almost attached to Hawlucha there. That would have been bad. I think we could put down the Regirock. I don't know if it really will matter for math for this Hydreigon, but it might matter later. And we're just going to attach 1 Strong Energy to Meditite, but our opponent might be thinking we have a bad hand, but that's not true. We definitely have a fantastic hand. If they bump the stadium and don't get a Chaos Wheel off, we can just put a new Fighting Stadium back out, which is almost what I would want to happen. So it's interesting to see what will happen here. We see them grabbing a Hoopa, which is pretty strange. Maybe just because they're going to Sycamore it away. Yeah, okay. So that makes sense, I guess. I wonder if they... Oh, okay, so they're also discarding a Double Dragon and their other Darkrai, which it would appear they only have 2. Oh, 3. They have 3, sorry. Wow, so they had 3 Darkrai. So they've discarded 2 of them, and 1 of them we knocked out. So we do see looks like they're powering up a Darkness Blade from Eviltal. But without a Hydreigon, they can't actually retreat this turn. They need a second Hydreigon or an energy. They would need to have attached energy to Hydreigon, because Hydreigon Dragon Road only gets rid of 2 colorless from your retreat cost, and right now Hydreigon has 3, so they'd need another one. See the stadium swap, now they're limiting our bench, and could either get rid of the Regirock or we could get rid of the Hawlucha. Hawlucha could still be nice to attack later, but getting the energy in the discard wouldn't be all that bad. But we can always get Hawlucha back with the Sacred Ash. You see a pass, we'll bump the stadium right back, like I said, and we will be able to Sycamore. And maybe we can even get a Medicham set up. The other option is to try and take a knockout with the Carbink break. We need to do 50. I think we're already doing 50, right? So 20, 30, 40, 50. So actually we're in a fantastic spot. We can Battle Compressor here, get Strong Energy in the discard pile, power up a second. Or we could even power up, we could power up Zygarde, we could power up a second Medicham. Not sure what the play is here. We do already have a Fighting Energy in the discard, so maybe only discard 1 Strong Energy. We could discard both, though. I don't know. It's always nice to attach the Strong Energies this way, especially since Giratina is probably coming up, and then we won't be able to take the, or we won't be able to attach the Strong Energies from hand. And Lysander seems like a good card to get in the discard as well. I don't even know how much Lysander is going to be important. It could be important to pick up the last knockout on like a Shaman though. And we're actually going to retreat. We could have Diamond Gifted, but here this way we can take a hit. We can do more damage to the to whatever Pokemon gets brought up, which something tells me it's probably going to be the Eviltal, but I don't know if they want to get hit that hard. If they want their Eviltal hit that hard, so we'll see. Wouldn't be a knockout though. So we'll just Yoga Kick and I'm going to do 80 damage. So now we'll be able to knock out Eviltal pretty easily. We see an N out of our opponent, which, again, this is why it was good to get the Carbink break set up, because of the impending N. And, okay, so Karina and a Fighting Energy, which is a really good hand, actually. So we see a Darkness Blade. It's not going to take the knockout because of the Focus Sash. And they will be able to Darkness Blade next turn, but I don't think that's going to matter because I think we're going to be knocking them out. If we had gotten the VS Seeker, though, we could have won right there. We could set ourselves up with a VS Seeker for next turn. Or we want to do that anyway, but it won't be able to give us the knockout necessarily. We could also attach straight to the Meditite. Well, we will Karina first here. I think we are going to grab a Medicham. And then... oh, yeah, we already discarded... oh, we have Regirock. We could have grabbed a Regirock too. That's also an option, I guess. But, yeah, VS Seeker is definitely the way to go. If our opponent ends us again, we could again be in a tough situation, but that's why it's good to get the Medicham and give ourselves the opportunity to power up another Medicham with Carbink Break. So we'll evolve. We will attach our energy. Should attach to... I think we should attach to Carbink Break. This way we're just we have a good setup for the next turn no matter what happens, since we will presumably be knocked out. And they're not going to be able to Lysander and Hex in the same turn, so they can't knock out Carbink unless they're playing like Catcher, and I do not think they're playing Catcher. Let's see, so we got a VS Seeker off the prizes, so kind of funny, we didn't really need it anyway, but good to get the VS Seeker. This way we have one more in our deck in case they N us. So what do we have now? I mean, presumably they'll bring up Giratina, but I don't know how much hope they have left in this game. And they have to take a knockout this turn, or else we're going to VS Seeker for Lysander. So... and they must know that. So we will see the Giratina come up. I think they would have to take... oh yeah, we still get to attack too. This is our second attack with Yoga Kick. So it does do 100 damage. And I think that they have to take double knockouts on Medichams to have any chance. But even still, Carbink Break could take a knockout in 2 turns. Because I think we're doing 50 a turn. So they would need like a Fighting Fury Belt, and they would need to knock out 2 Medichams, which is possible, especially since we know they play 2 Lysander. At least. Probably only 2. But yeah, our opponent's in a really bad position. Down 6-1 prizes. And we are in a great spot. Let's see here. The Trainer's Mail, I just don't even know what it could grab them. I mean, maybe, like I said, Fighting Fury Belt would be a good card to put on their Giratina. I wouldn't have really thought this to be such a one-sided matchup, but it makes sense because if they only have one non-EX attacker, then the prize trade alone is really good for us. There's going to be a Super Rod. I'm sure we'll see the Eviltal come back. Probably some Dark Energies. yeah. But what else do they have in store for us? Another double dragon coming down. Maybe just because they didn't like the way we discarded all their energy last time. They're going to limit our bench size. We're going to see a Chaos Wheel for a knockout. But what does it really do? So we get a Meditite. Could bench it, I suppose. The VS Seeker we can grab. Maybe a Karina. I don't know. We don't actually really even need anything with it, but thinning our deck might be good. Could grab another Regirock. I don't know. I don't even know if I could have just not used VS Seeker maybe, but they knew we had one in hand. So the cool thing about playing this VS Seeker is now they might think we don't have a VS Seeker in hand. Although we could obviously grab one with this as well. Grab a Medicham and a Focus Sash this way. So, I mean, the Focus Sash was pretty good, right? Because now I don't think our opponent has any chance. Besides hope. Well, yeah, we can't attach the Focus Sash. So, I think that if they knock out the Medicham with the energies that we're attaching, that could be really bad for us. But again, well, the Stadium Swap helped too. Can't take a knockout with Carbink. Well, actually, we could take a knockout with Carbink. So we do see a Lysander, but if we get the other Regirock, we can still take a knockout with Carbink this turn. Because we only need to do 40 damage. The other option would be Energy and Power Gem. So either way, we can take the knockout. I'm just checking to see how much we did, I think, with Diamond Gift. So, yeah, but it looks like we should be fine. I think we could just Ultra Ball for a Regirock here, but I guess I'm going to go for the Karina play, I guess. We have Regirock, and that should be all we need. That should be all she wrote. So, yeah, pretty interesting to see how that turned out. Grabbing a VS Seeker. I don't really know why I'm doing that. I think I just wasn't really sure about the math. So, you know, better safe than sorry, I guess. It would have been pretty much fine anyway. And we do Diamond Gift for the knockout. And good game to my opponent. But, yeah, I think just a really tough matchup and for them. And good matchup for us. So now we're 3-0 in the tournament. Off to a great start. And we'll see what happens in round 4. Thanks for watching.